all you moon lovers, Scarlet Heart Ryeo fans. This is Emily, but I also go by Squirrely Girly. I hope you guys are all well. I wanted to make a short little video today based on a few questions that a lot of fans have had about the show for a while, which of course is, where is season 2 for moon lovers Scarlet Heart Ryeo, and what can we do to help it happen? And I mainly wanted to touch on this because if you're anything like me, you probably had this reaction after you finished the show. Yeah. So, most likely you would have been lying awake at night wondering, how could they end it that way? How could they have him say, if we truly are from different worlds, I will find you. And then it just ends. It's like, what? Well, there has to be more, and you can't leave Haesu thinking that Wong So hates her. I mean, just, no, you can't do that to me. They have to find each other and make up and fix their relationship. Anyway, it was really, really hard for me to accept that ending, even though, like, it implies that they'll meet in the future. But here's the deal, you guys. We want to see them meet in the future, right? We don't want it just implied. We want to see it. And the good news is of course, the show was originally probably going to have a season 2 because they filmed that scene that was deleted at the very end where he was supposed to come and give her that handkerchief, but it ended up getting cut. And I'm not exactly sure why. If I had to make a guess, my guess is that they were possibly saving it for a season 2, but then ultimately when the show first came out and it didn't get high ratings, it clearly wasn't going to have a season 2, I guess, anytime soon after that. So it was really disappointing that happened, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But the good news is obviously the show, after the 4 years that it has been out, has gained quite a huge fan following. And I'm really happy to see that. And I actually came to this fandom quite late in the game. I actually only finished this show probably about 3 months ago, but I am completely obsessed with it, and it's taken over my life, and it's all I think about. That's my earlier little picture I had with me lying awake at night thinking about this show, because it's all I think about. So hopefully I didn't just give away something super embarrassing about myself, but I can't help it. I love the show that much that it's on my mind all the time, and like all of you, I really want a season 2 as well. But what I can gather is, of course, I've noticed that throughout the years that there was a petition for Scarlet Heart Ryeo season 2, and it looks like that wasn't something that they really paid attention to, because obviously we haven't had a season 2 quite yet, so I guess it hasn't really touched it, I guess. So I guess we have to think of other things and other ways to get their attention. And I've also heard a lot of people say, oh, even though it was a huge international success, Korea is not going to be interested in making a season 2 for only international fans because they only care about, I guess, their own citizens and what they view, because ultimately Korean dramas are being made for a Korean audience. And there's a part of me that understands that, but at the same time, I find that rather odd that they're not going to capitalize on international international audience fan base. And the reason I say that is, if I take, let's say, Disney as an example, obviously Disney was founded in America first. However, it got so successful and they had so many people that love their films that they've actually expanded to other countries, and they have parks in other countries. I think they have one in Tokyo, they have 2 in China, and they have one in Paris, of course. And ultimately they have started to do a lot of different movies that are based around like other cultures, like let's say Coco, that takes place in Mexico, and of course Moana, which takes place in the Polynesian era, or not era, but in the Polynesian islands. So there have been a lot of like cultures that Disney has been starting to represent a lot more. And I think that's just because they realize, why should we only make a profit based on people in the US when we have a huge market as well outside of the US that love us. So I don't know, money is money no matter where you spend it. So I think that's kind of odd that they would only want to cater to only Korean fans, which I understand that, yes, technically wherever the film studio is located, you're going to predominantly be wanting to focus on the audience in that area, which of course, if it's a film studio in Korea, then you have a Korean audience in mind that you're making your films for. But obviously Korean dramas have taken quite a bit of they've had a lot of popularity growth over the years, and I've noticed this, and more people are understanding what the term K-drama means, and that just shows that Korean entertainment is really starting to grow. And it's not just something that people are aware of only in Korea. And I think that they need to become aware of that. And I hope that they take advantage of it and try to find ways to also please their international fans as well. Because like I said, money is money no matter where you're earning it. So anyway, so that's one thought I had. I just hope that they take advantage of their international audience that Moon Lovers has. But also, I want to point out that just because that it was, I don't know, not the most popular when it first aired, which, by the way, guys, I think is absolutely crazy. I can't believe that it didn't get higher ratings when it first aired. I mean, there's been other people that have come up with some reasons. My guess is probably there was another show, I think, called Love in the Moonlight that had a very popular star in it at the time that was aired at the exact same time, I believe, as Moon Lovers was. So I think that show and that star kind of stole a lot of the audience that Moon Lovers was supposed to have gotten. So that's part of my guess, which is really too bad, honestly. But there are a lot of movies I know here in America, since I am an American. So I know of quite a few films that weren't really big hits when they first came out, but then years later, they became household classics. Like, everyone knows about all of these next few movies that I'm about to mention. The first one I want to mention is The Princess Bride. If you're familiar with this movie, then you might not realize that this show actually bombed at the box office when it first came out. However, the following year that it was released on VHS, it actually became one of the most successful VHSs that has ever been sold ever. And it's a huge popular movie to this day that pretty much everyone remembers from their childhood now. So I guess when it first came out, it flopped because I think that some people weren't ready for this fairy tale that was kind of somewhat of a satire. And it's just something they weren't used to. But then as like the year progressed and more people started to see it, then it really hit its popularity and its mark when it was released on VHS, and then everyone all of a sudden wanted to buy it. So I don't think that that's necessarily a bad case if something doesn't do well on its first release, because sometimes it takes an audience a little while to figure out what is good. And thankfully with Princess Bride, a lot of people found out that this was actually a really great flick. And so I'm really glad that it gained that popularity that it deserved. But the good news is there's even more, even beyond that, which of course, the next one that I want to talk about is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This one is a classic musical that came out in the early 1970s, I believe, starring Gene Wilder. And if you guys are familiar with this, I mean, I'm sure you guys are, especially if you're from America, but this one surprisingly did not do well when it first released. And actually, I think Warner Brothers bought it, and they earned like a ton of money from the company that originally had filmed it, thinking it wasn't going to be successful. But it was successful later, because upon release, when it was released in theaters, it didn't do so well. But then when it was broadcast on television, a huge influx of people all of a sudden realized, oh my gosh, this is such a good movie. This is so cute. This is so whimsical. And now it's a classic, and most children in their childhood nowadays will remember Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and how it became such a success. And there's also a movie, or not a movie, but there's a guy named Tim Burton, if you're aware of him. He's done a lot of stop motion animation with a lot of gothic stylization to his characters. Anyway, he's quite a big name, and he first started at Disney. He didn't really do so well there, and he left, but then he made his own films, and one of the films that he is most known for is producing the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas. And of course you remember classic characters like Jack Skellington and Sally, and anyway, all sorts of really fun characters in that one. But I don't know if you knew this, but at the time that movie came out, it was not a big hit. But however, over the years, it has gained a huge following, and it's now considered a classic. And almost every Halloween, you see people watching this. I think it's even broadcast on television now because it's a Halloween classic. And, and to be honest, it's not even shown only during Halloween or Christmas, I guess, since it is The Nightmare Before Christmas, combining both Halloween and Christmas. But I've seen people year round wear anything that promotes the characters from this film. And so it is a beloved film, and I'm really happy that even though it wasn't huge on its release, it gained a huge following later, and now it's one of the world's biggest Halloween movie classics that's always played every year. So anyway, I think that's just really cool, and I just wanted to mention that don't lose hope on something that when it first comes out, if it's not popular, sometimes it takes the audience a little while to discover how good something is. So just wanted to mention that. But along with our international audience discussion, I do want to mention that a lot of people, like myself, think it would be an awesome idea if Netflix were to pick up the show, because Netflix, I believe, is the biggest worldwide streaming service, and it would be really awesome if they did stream it on Netflix, because it would reach so many international homes. And I don't know if you guys knew this already, but the good news is that it actually is broadcasting on Netflix in Korea right now as we speak, which is awesome. I don't know. I'd like to say that they heard us somewhat and they're broadcasting it because they're listening to us, but I don't know. Maybe that's giving us too much credit, but that's what I like to think anyway. But I don't think it's too far of a stretch to think that Netflix would pick up the show and season 2 possibly and fund it. Because currently, or at least the last time I've heard, it might be different now, but I heard that it was number 7 on the top 10 list on Netflix over in Korea right now. And I think it's also being broadcast on a different paid TV program, and it's like in the top 3 list there, which is really awesome and reassuring to see that. And I just don't think it's too far of a stretch to think Netflix will eventually or could eventually do that, because even in America on Netflix, we have so many Korean dramas available on Netflix for us to watch, and they're super popular. And of course, I mean, as an example, I know Crash Landing on You, which is the second most successful Korean drama that's ever been made, of course, is on Netflix, and it reached a really big international audience for it as well. So I really think that Netflix would be a great place for Moonlover Scarlet Heart Ryeo season 2 to really thrive, and I just hope that Netflix considers it. There's even someone that uploaded this video on YouTube about sending in a request to Netflix. So if you guys haven't sent in a request to Netflix already, I really strongly encourage you to do so. It looks like this person who made this video has actually gained a lot of views for it. So it looks like a lot of fans are already getting this idea and are doing it, which is awesome. So give her some love on her video if you haven't already. But if you haven't sent in a request to Netflix for Moonlovers, I really highly recommend that you do. I personally don't actually have a Netflix account, although that might change if they end up putting it on Netflix. But anyway, but right now the website link that you can put in a request to Netflix is the one that I'm going to show on the screen here. This is what it looks like. It'll give you 3 suggestions, and then of course you have to prove you're not a robot or whatever, and then you submit your suggestion. That's how you do it, I believe, if you don't have an account. But if you do have a Netflix account, make sure that you request your or send in your request on your account. So while you're signed into your account on Netflix, try to see if you can send it through your account so that it's counted. But I don't know. I think it should still be counted even if you don't, because they obviously have this website, and every single time I've done it, it said, thank you for submitting your suggestion. So, but anyway, I just say that if you have a way to be logged into your account and send in your request that way, please do so. And if not, this is another way you could do it by sending in your request on this website, which I will provide the link to. And also, if you go check out that other person's video, it also gives you instructions on how to do so. Another way that you could send a request, maybe not to Netflix, but you might have not known this, but NBC Universal was actually a big producer for Moonlover's Scarlet Heart Ryeo. You can actually see their logo on a lot of their stuff that they release. And you can do this by going on Facebook. They actually have a place where you can message them. So you can just write out your message of, hey, I'm a fan of Moonlover's Scarlet Heart Ryeo. I really want to see a season 2. There is a huge market for this. And that's key here. You got to make sure that whenever you send in these requests that you can type something up is, you got to make sure that they are aware that there is a huge market and a huge fan base, because of course all these companies want to make money. So make sure that you say that there is this huge fan base, which there is, of course, for Moonlovers, and that there's a huge market for it. It would be a success, it'd be a hit, and you love Moonlovers and you want to see a season 2, so please make season 2. So that'd be one way that you could do it on NBC Universal. So you could first type your message first, and then if you'd like, you can send a picture just in case, if you want to make it absolutely clear to them what show you're talking about. But make sure that you send your message first and then the picture along with it, because I made the mistake of accidentally sending the picture first, and so I don't know if they even got my message. So make sure you send the message first, just FYI. And if you have an Instagram account, I would highly recommend also sending a message to Netflix on Instagram, which is another great way of trying to reach out and make it known that we want a season 2. So also let Netflix know that, hey, I love this show called Moonlover Scarlet Heart Ryeo. I understand it's being broadcast currently in Korea, but there's a huge fan base for this internationally. I love this show. I want season 2. There's a huge market for it. Would you consider not only broadcasting it, but possibly funding a season 2 for this show? So that would be another way to do it. I don't know if NBC Universal has an Instagram. They might, so possibly look into that. You could do the same for SBS, which was the channel that broadcasted it. I've heard that SBS doesn't have a ton of power when it comes to Moonlovers anymore, but I still think that you guys should check the box at least. Do it just in case, because you never know. There might be something where the rights will be sold, or they will change their mind. So I just say flood the market, try to get the word out as much as possible to let them know that you want a season 2. And here's the thing, is that in the fandom, I've seen everyone basically say that they pray for this show, they want it to happen, and of course we talk amongst ourselves how much we want it to happen, but the reality is, as much as we want to pray and talk about how much we want it to happen, we actually have to do something about it if we want it to happen. So, of course, it's no guarantee that it's going to happen, but it's guaranteed if we do nothing that it probably won't happen. So we have to do things in order to let them know that we want it to happen, and we have to keep on it all the time in order for them to realize, hey, we're not going to give up, and we love this show, so please make it happen. And if we make it look like that, then they probably would be thinking it's worth it. It's more worth it to make it rather than if we were just silent and just quietly hoping in our little fan groups that maybe they'll have a change of heart and do it. So we have to constantly be letting them know. And I can't stress that enough, that if we want it to happen, we have to let them know all the time and be pretty loud about it, be vocal about it. And I know this actually has worked for some places or for some shows in the past. Like, I know if you guys are Star Wars fans, there was a really popular Star Wars series called Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It got canceled back in 2013. However, this past year, they actually released another season for Star Wars The Clone Wars, even though it's been a long time, but that's mainly because the fans wanted more. And they basically heard the fans and said, okay, you know what? There's enough fans asking for this who love this show, and it's worth it to make another season. And so that's what they did. So it isn't something that is impossible. It's just that they have to realize that enough fans want it and love it for them to realize, okay, it's worth making a season 2. And I know that a lot of other people worry about, but the cast, we don't know if the entire original cast will be available to come back and film a season 2. I know that's a concern for a lot of fans. And I want to point out that the original Chinese drama, when they did their season 2, they actually only had 2 returning actors, which were the 2 main stars. So as long as Lee Joon-gi and IU are willing to return, a season 2 is a possibility. They could still do it without the original cast. And I know that that's kind of sad, and it's like, well, we want the original cast, right? And ultimately, I think that even if they didn't get everybody, I think that they could still get some to return. So they would have, obviously, they'd have to have Lee Joon-gi and IU for it to work. But I think they could probably get a few more, like the guy who played Ji-mong, if they could get him, or if they could get a couple of the brothers, or possibly if they could get the girl who played, what was her name? Yeonhwa. I'm sorry, guys, I'm drawing a blank on her real name. But anyway, you know what I mean. If they were to get a few of the original stars on board with it as well, just to make it that much more like a season 2, I guess. But either way, there is a way that it could happen, and who knows, maybe they would be able to get everybody, but the difference would be that we would have to wait longer, which means they would probably have to reserve certain actors for, sometime in the future when they don't have something on their calendar or their schedule that comes up. So maybe like a year from now, if they want to do a season 2, maybe they're like, yeah, let's do season 2, but they might have to reserve a lot of the actors well in advance before they ever start filming season 2. So we could still get the entire cast possibly at some point, but we would just have to wait even longer. But if we wanted something sooner, I think they would still, obviously they would need to get Lee Joon-gi as modern day Wang Seo, and of course IU as Go Ha-jin / Haesoo. But they could probably still get a few other original cast members. As long as they're really creative with the story, I say they could still make it work. And in the future, I want to make a video on some of those ways they could make it work, and kind of what my vision would be if they were to make a season 2. And I'd like to see if some of you guys agree or on board of what I think they could do and how to make it work. But anyway, I just really wanted to bring that up. And I know that Lee Joon-gi has said in the recently, actually, on Instagram, that he really would love to return for a season 2 as well. I think basically what happened is he was answering a bunch of live Instagram questions on his current drama that has been airing, which is Flower of Evil. But as he was live streaming, a lot of questions that he got were actually Moon Lovers questions. And he basically he read off a question which says, I want a season 2, when is it going to happen? And he kind of was like, I would love to do a season 2. And I think he said that he and IU would both be willing to do it if the opportunity was right. So we know that they're at least willing to return for a season 2. And then Lee Joon-gi kind of posted, I think, something with the entire cast, kind of to imply that he'd be sad that season 2 might not happen because the entire cast can't come back. And I know that's kind of, made a lot of fans sad, thinking it's a sign it won't ever happen. And of course, like I said before, we don't know, we're just the fans. We don't have the power to make season 2, but we do have the power to, make a lot of noise and hopefully motivate some people to change their mind. But here's the thing, is that Lee Joon-gi is an actor and obviously he is this super sweet, nice guy, and you can tell that he loves working with his coworkers and his cast. And I think that if he were to do a season 2, like he said, he's willing to do it. I guess he's just being honest about the fact that he would miss his other coworkers if they didn't, or not coworkers, co-stars, if they didn't actually return for the series as well. So I don't think that's an ultimatum that says, oh, because he's sad that the others wouldn't be able to return because they're busy means that there wouldn't be a season 2. I don't think that that's what that means. I think that that's just Lee Joon-gi saying that currently right now where a lot of people are busy, so it'd be hard. But I don't think that that's just saying it's never going to happen, because they either could wait for it to happen and reserve everybody well in advance, or they could get Lee Joon-gi and IU and maybe just a few others to return. Either way, I don't think it's the ultimatum that says, oh, it can't happen. I still think it could happen and be really awesome, but they would just have to make it look a little different, and they would have to be very creative with the story of how to make it work. But like I said, I want to return with another video in the future on how I think they could make that work, and maybe it'll make you feel a little bit better and see what I'm trying to say here. But anyway, but in the meantime, it still is a possibility. Remember that the Chinese drama only had the 2 original stars, but yes, it would be nice to get a few other familiar faces as well. So don't worry, season 2 is still a huge possibility that it could happen. So don't lose faith, you guys. I know that it's kind of hard at times when there's all these different things that you're hearing, and of course, or if we haven't heard any news. But the good news is, you guys, is I feel like it's a really good sign that they decided to broadcast Moon Lovers on Netflix in Korea, as well as that other paid program, and it's doing extremely well. Like I said before, on Netflix it's number 7 on the top 10 list, at least last I checked, and it's even in the top 3 list of another paid program that it's currently airing on in Korea. So anyway, I think that this is all really great news, and I also think because Lee Joon-gi is getting a lot of praise for his new drama, Flower of Evil, I think that recognition and popularity he's getting in that show has made people want to know his other works, and of course one of his other main works that he's done is Moon Lovers, and so thankfully that drama is doing really well, because ultimately it's actually helping a lot of the other shows, including Moon Lovers, that he's been in. It's reignited a lot of these chat rooms in Korea. One of them is called, I think, Naver, I think. But I know that there are a ton of Korean fans that are on that chat room requesting season 2 of Moon Lovers, which is great to see. And it's like number 15 on the most searched, or not most searched, but it's ranked number 15 on Naver, which is really great, especially since it's a 4-year-old drama and it's not brand new. So the fact that it's gaining a lot of popularity and it's staying popular and it's not dropping off is a really great sign. And I can't help but think, because it's on Netflix in Korea and because they're broadcasting it, I almost feel like that does mean in a way that they have been thinking about putting it on or broadcasting it again to see just how popular it would be if they were to rebroadcast it. Because like we've been discussing for years, you know, they can't see how popular the show has gotten until they legally stream it or broadcast it. Because before, we had to really hunt for this show anywhere online that had the episodes, but unfortunately that's not what it was going to take in order for them to recognize how much we love the show. So to me, it is such a good sign that they decided to even broadcast it in Korea, which means that they may have had some of these discussions already. And perhaps broadcasting it in Korea was kind of like a test to see, okay, you know, we do have a lot of fans that have been saying how much they love the show and they want Moon Lover season 2, but let's broadcast it to see just how popular of a response we get. Because if it gets a really great response, maybe that's what they're looking for. They're trying to see if what the fans is saying is true. Is it popular enough that people are going to want it, and if the ratings are going to go high. So anyway, I'm just saying that it's a really great sign that they decided to broadcast it. And then it's even a better sign that the fans over in Korea are loving it and are requesting it like crazy on all these different sites, and they're sending in requests. And that is just it's so wonderful that we're seeing the Korean fans absolutely love this show, because it deserves it. And there's actually been a lot of campaigns for it. There's already been one campaign I know on Twitter for Moon Lover Scarlet Heart Ryeo season 2. I'll see if I can provide the hashtags that was used for that campaign. That campaign actually ended on September 2nd, but I heard that they're actually going to be having another campaign to help make a buzz. So I'll include those hashtags I'll see if I can include those hashtags in the description so that you guys could possibly hop on board with the next campaign on Twitter. So there might be a couple other new hashtags, but I don't know. I'll just give the ones I know that was used during the last one. So that's a really great sign. And I don't know any details about this yet, but I've heard that the Korean fans are getting together to basically send in formal letters to all of the broadcasting companies requesting season 2. So I don't know when that's going to happen, what the details are, but I think that's really great news. And I really feel like you guys needed to be aware of all of this awesome, great news that's going on right now for Moon Lover Scarlet Heart Ryeo. At the end of the day, of course, we don't know a lot of it's not guaranteed, but there is a lot of good things happening that have basically increased the odds of a season 2 happening. So, and I think that shouldn't be ignored, and we need to strike while the iron is hot, and we need to fight for this show like never before, and we need to send in all these requests, and we need to make a lot of noise. We got to get involved. We have to spread the word, get the word out there to the other fans, try to encourage everyone to send in requests, and not only request to Netflix, but type out messages expressing how much we love the show and how we would love a season 2 and that there's a huge market for it and it would be a success. We need to be doing all of these things to let them know. And we got to do it now and hopefully continue to do it, because if we want a season 2 bad enough, then we have to fight for it, and we got to make it known, and we got to be loud, and we got to be vocal. And of course, it's going to take an army for it to happen. So not only a few of us can do it, we have to have everyone basically help out with this. Whether you are from Korea or if you're an international fan, we all got to help this show, because it really deserves a lot of recognition, because it is just fantastic. So anyway, so that's basically all I wanted to say. I hope you guys liked all of this news that I wanted to point out, and I hope that everyone's going to do what I just said. Hopefully. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but there is a lot of really great signs going on right now, and it's really an exciting time, and I hope you guys take advantage of the opportunity that we have going on. So yeah, so send in your request, make a lot of requests, and type your messages out, make it detailed, make sure to mention how big of a market we have. But yeah, it's an exciting time. It's a very, very exciting time, you guys. And I'm stumbling over my words in my video because there's just so much I want to say, and there's so much excitement that I'm sure all my words sound jumbled. So I hope everything I've said has made sense. So anyway, if you are confused on anything, feel free to leave me a comment if you want to ask me something. But yeah, it's an exciting time. I hope you like this little video and all the news that I felt like needed to be spread and that all the fans need to be aware of. But yeah, anyway, so like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for your time, you guys. It's gonna be fun. Thanks. Bye.